you have these people having children who are not prepared.
This is what femininity looks like. Like, I'm supposed to help take care of the home.
Girl, if he works a 9 to 5, you don't need to talk to him.
Don't let a man do this because that's not feminine. But if you do let a man do this, you'll attract an alpha masculine man.
Hot take. Sometimes you got to take breaks from people. Welcome back to Up From Here. I am your host, Kelsey Lee.
And I'm Janae Iman.
Hey, y'all.
Hey bestie.
Hey, bestie.
How are you today?
I'm so nervous.
Why? I do too. It's like whenever he's like, it's time, I'm like, it's time.
Dun dun.
That's what Mike sounds like when he tells us it's time. Not really.
It's like,
he'd be nice to us.
Get your fucking shit together, is what I hear.
Yeah.
Get your effing
I was about to say
together.
I just made that face because as we're getting ready, we spend like an hour and some change getting ready together. And so we're writing our notes and she goes, sister, the cursing.
Mind you, this girl, she didn't answer. So I'm like, oh, you got an attitude because you can't cuss?
No, I didn't.
Okay,
I was
girl.
processing like, okay. And then before we started, I screamed like a bunch of times so I could get it out. I can't say it, so I can't cuss. So we're doing better.
We're trying. We're just girls with potty mouths.
Not very ladylike of you.
Really?
How very fitting.
How very fitting.
How very fitting. Not very ladylike of you to be cursing up a storm on the internet.
Anyways. What did you do this weekend, sister?
What was this weekend? Oh, we had David's party.
Last weekend.
That was last weekend. Oh, well, we didn't film. So that's why it feels like.
We did.
Okay.
I think we talked about it on the...
we talked about it, but we didn't update them. The party was great.
The party was great. He
we had
was
a great
so
time.
surprised. He was so excited. He literally this was like the happiest I've seen him.
Yes. And you could tell he's not used to like getting stuff like that. So he was like, oh my God. He was like little kid, y'all.
Yes.
It was fun.
It was phenomenal. That's why... Yeah, it was phenomenal.
Yeah. Okay, so that was last weekend.
This weekend,
what did I do? Girl, I didn't do nothing. Yesterday, I went to the arcade, hung out, and then, that was pretty much it. I worked. Very uneventful.
We've been like decluttering and organizing.
Oh, yeah, you did say that.
And then yesterday, I wanted to bed rot all day because I'm tired. Like, the last month planning this birthday party has been insane. So then we had the birthday party and then we just have been cleaning all week, like literally all week. And then yesterday I just wanted to bed rot. So we did that for most of the day. And then my sister and my brother and my niece and nephew came over. But something happened yesterday and I was like, I want to talk about this on the pod.
Okay.
So David and I were playing those like couples card games? Mm-hmm. So the one we were playing was called Tails. Mm-hmm. And the question that was asked, it was something about like, how does social media affect your relationship or something like that? Mm-hmm. And for the most part, it really doesn't. Like I know everybody, I hear so many times my mom will be like, oh, it's not real. So they'd be like liking all the girls' pictures and like in their DMs. My man is never... When I say you ain't never gonna catch my man in a like, a DM, a comment, nothing.
Ever.
And vice versa. Like you will never catch me in anything suspicious or scandalous. But he was like, you know what? He was like, I think that we need to like really reset our algorithms because, we'll be scrolling in bed sometimes and it's so crazy because a video will come up. No, a video will come up and I'll be like, oh God, this is like scandalous. But he was like, your algorithm is so filled with ideas that you already have that it just drives it and drives it and drives it and makes it a much bigger thing and makes it much more prevalent in your thought process and in your life than what I think it would be if you weren't constantly being fed certain things. And he was like, it starts with an idea that you have and then it kind of like twists and turns it into this negative thing, right? So I was like, I want to talk about the effects of mainstream media and like propaganda on like your thought process with things. So the first thing, it's like it's my definition and like relationship with the words masculine and feminine. Mm-hmm. Okay, so like in terms of masculinity, I feel like there has been a conversation that has been opened up, which I think is important and beneficial. But the conversation is about toxic hypermasculinity, right? And the way the world has made young men and little boys who then grow up into obviously like grown men. So these little boys and young men that turn into like grown adult men, the world makes them feel like you have to be this rough, this tough, this super macho. You gotta like take command and take control. And the way that you do that is by being hard and yelling, and you can never be gentle, you can never be soft, you can never have emotions, and you can never talk about the way that you feel. You're supposed to keep it in, and like, you know, that rhetoric. And discussing just how detrimental it is to not only men and their mental and emotional state, but also women. Because then women are typically on the receiving end of some of those like negative notions, actions, words. So like I said, the conversation is definitely necessary. And I'm so glad that people are talking about it, because I'm tired of our men feeling like, you know, you can't talk, you can't cry, you can't express, you can't feel. However, I do feel like sometimes it's beaten into our brains so much that now it has, at least for me, it has created such a negative vibe, negative taste in my mouth with masculinity in general. And so like I was watching a video of a father talking about how he had like disciplined his son, but not really disciplined, but taught him a lesson. He was like, you know, we had a man's day, and I taught him that being masculine is respecting the women around you and like your mother and your sisters. And I was like, wow, that was such a healthy way. No, it was such a healthy way. And it really made me say, I have like anything that's like, I need to, you know, show masculinity. I'm like, ugh. Like, it's like I'm so turned off by it because of all the conversations that are had surrounding the toxic hypermasculinity that I feel like in a way.
You don't welcome like the
I don't
good
welcome,
things about
right.
masculinity.
It's almost like I've looked at masculinity as a bad thing.
Yeah.
And I don't think that there's anything wrong with raising your young boys to be masculine. I think that we just have to really
reframe
what masculinity
Do you feel like
is
you've always,
and looks like.
I'm sorry, I'm gonna cut you off.
No, you're fine.
Do you feel like you've always felt like that though? Like, okay, so I feel like you said basically seeing things on the media and being on social media and like the propaganda, but do you feel like growing up, right, that you would notice that, like as a girl, seeing how, well, you don't have brothers.
We don't really have men in our family.
Okay.
To be honest.
So,
like I have a cousin, Taji, shout out Taji, because he watches
he's
everything I
sweet.
do.
He's sweet.
Taji
yeah.
watches everything I do. So
we
shout
like
out Taji for holding it down for the men in the grand family.
You know what? Now that I think about it, yeah, whenever I meet like your family, it's always
women.
Yeah.
I don't have any like biological uncles. My dad is the only. My dad is the only man. He's got 2 sisters, and then my mom is one of 4 girls. Yeah.
Wow. Okay,
and then also like
question all the way away.
Even my example of like my grandfather is not at all the stereotypical masculine man.
Yes, he's a very calm. His spirit, his energy is very
gentle.
Calm.
He don't want to work. My grandmother, yeah. He retired to Jamaica. He has been wanting to go back to Jamaica for years. At this point, I mean, I'm talking about it like this is yesterday, but like it's probably been like 5 to 10 years since they moved back. But like he wanted to retire and go to Jamaica, and my grandmother was working in America still. Like she's like, bills got to get paid. And he's like, I want to be in the garden with my plants.
On the beach
Girl, my grandpa will literally sit outside and just talk and pray to his plants. Like he loves his garden. Yeah, he is not the stereotypical masculine man. So,
and this is on mommy's side.
Yes. And my dad's dad was like the girl. My dad, first of all, my dad's dad.
This is so interesting.
Origin.
I feel like I need to write my questions down because it's okay.
So my mother and father are both from Jamaica. My dad's dad was ethnically Chinese, but nationally he was Jamaican. He was born in Jamaica, but he is a Chinese man, which is common for anybody that knows like what.
You keep saying was like he's alive.
No, he's dead.
Oh, there's talking about your dad. You're talking about your grandfather.
My grandfather.
Okay.
So there are a lot of Asians in Jamaica. They're pretty much like colonizing Jamaica. Anyways, so he's a Chinese man who was born and raised in Jamaica. He moved to China for I think a few years during his like youth years at some point, and then moved back to Jamaica. My grandmother is Jamaican Cuban. But either way, my grandfather, he's this little tiny Chinese man. And he's always been, if my grandfather was still alive, I think he would be like one of my favorite people in my family. Mm-hmm. Like he's funny. He, first of all, potty mouth and just fun. Like he cooked all the time. He always was hunting. He always my grandpa was just like that guy. He didn't tell my father he loved him until my father moved to the United States of America for college. And my father has his citizenship, by the way, before anybody goes there. But there was no love. Like his way of showing love was providing and teaching my dad life lessons about being a man. There was no expressing their feelings. There was no, and I remember when my dad and my stepmom got married, my grandparents came to the States for the wedding. And I had to be 11 years old. And I was like, Grandpa, why don't you tell my dad that you love him? And he was stumped. And I was like, I think that you should tell him. I think it would make him feel good. And so it's I've had this juxtaposition of what a man is supposed to look like. And then my dad is a super gentle, super soft. He has a temper. But my dad does not ever feel the need to
Okay, so I think that's so interesting because my question originally was, growing up around younger boys and you being younger, how did that change? But then hearing you say that your grandfather on your mother's side is more gentle and everything like that, which is so interesting because she's not. Your mom, isn't. You know what I mean?
What?
Gentle and soft and whatever. Yeah. So it makes me wonder, did your grandmother playing more of a masculine role have an effect on, you know what I'm saying? Is that why your mom is the way she is?
Absolutely.
And then vice versa with your dad. It's I'm not saying that your grandfather's masculinity was toxic masculinity.
It was.
But
for sure.
Made him want to turn and say, you know what, I don't want to be that way. And why he's so gentle, or did it fearmonger him into, you know what I mean?
So this is one of the problems with toxic hypermasculinity is I think that it broke my father's confidence down. And maybe not even broke it down. It never had a chance to flourish. It didn't build confidence in him. It made him second guess himself. And still to this day,
everything
makes him second guess himself and also makes him question whether he's enough. And also my father is going through his own things in his marriage. And we've been talking a lot about, what he likes and what makes him feel good and what makes him feel loved. And he's like, I've never looked at that. And compatibility with a partner. And he's like,
I've never talk about that.
He's like, I've never really considered what I like because my father being raised by a macho, and mind you, my grandpa's literally 4'11". No, who the fuck do you think you are? But I'm not to Mr. Lee.
Don't ever play with him.
No, for real. The big one, never the little one. But my father but everything else, personality, voice, But my dad being raised by this man, he's, was brought up with the mindset of your only value is providing for a family, protecting a family. You have no value beyond that. So your likes, your desires, your wants, they don't really matter as long as you're taking care of your kids, your family. Girl, yes. And so I feel that's what I saw growing up. But even with Taji.
But that's probably why, you guys are older now, and he's, going through this, not a midlife crisis, but it's now he's trying to find value in himself.
For sure.
His whole life
is being turned upside down. Yeah. And I think, too, that, even with my cousin Taji, again, he was the only boy. And Taji was very, his mother and father were not together. It was just we all grew up kind of in turmoil. And Taji would cry all the time. And he's a freaking baby, he's supposed to. And I remember family members calling him a wuss and stuff like that, and a crybaby and this, that, and the third. And it's
he's so sweet and gentle too.
Kids are it doesn't matter boy or girl, kids are experiencing all of these emotions for the first time. Everything is big. All of their feelings are big. So they're gonna cry. And telling kids at that age, you should not cry, you're a crybaby, you're a wuss. What does that do to them?
But especially a young boy, because I feel for instance, I have a brother. James is a year and some change. We're 15 months and a day apart.
Besties.
15 months and 1 day apart. But with that being said, you know, we talked about how my parents were super like, they're the best. They're gentle, everything. But with my brother, my dad
Way more aggressive.
my dad is rough around the edges, okay? He's from a time period where, and an area and a lifestyle where there's a lot of toxic masculinity. Think sex work, pimp hoe kind of mentality that. So I'm trying to like keep it cute without like putting it out there. But so that sort of mentality around what a man looks like. And so although I saw him always like, you know, protect and provide and everything like for us and everything, but my dad wasn't really gentle or like loving or anything. Like even when it came to my mom, like I think she knew that we gonna always be taken care of because that's what my daddy was good at. Like we never want for shit. You know what I mean? Like he did that. But like he's not gentle.
Yeah.
And so I look at like, for instance, my stepdad's not like that. He's cut from like a little bit of a different cloth and he's so gentle. And so I'm like, damn, you went searching for like all of these other qualities because the person who is supposed to be so manly and so macho, and that's how I see my daddy. I see my daddy as like a real strong, whatever, but like gentle, never that. Like you've seen the way he interacts with my stepmom, his current wife.
That's a mean mother effer.
Yeah, he's mean. He's mean.
He's mean to everybody but Janae. And me.
But he's just like aggressive.
The younger generation. Yeah, like he's much softer with.
Yeah, he's a soft grandpa.
He's the softest on Duda.
But man. He's so aggressive. And saying all that to say, we would grow up and when I played sports and stuff, my parents let me quit everything. I don't want to do this no more. Like, I would fucking have a fit. And they'd be like, okay, like whatever, princess. Okay, baby girl. My brother, first of all, James got his ass beat all the time. Like, don't y'all be eating my parents up about we don't be whipping our kids either because we turned out fine, okay? And we have open conversations about how that was fucked up. But what?
They were lucky to turn out fine because you should not.
You should not be beating your kids. You should not be beating your kids.
And her parents have acknowledged the effects that has had on their
we have open conversations and my brother has talked to my dad. No, because people try to be like, oh, whatever. Like, no, my brother used to get his ass beat. I ain't gonna hold you. Like, beat the fuck up. But I think that's also another thing too. Him feeling like as a man, this is how you have to discipline him. I'm okay with saying that because I know there are so many people who are gonna watch this and gonna be like, that's not really taboo, which it should be, but you know, it's not. And I told you, I ain't never got a whipping.
Maybe in certain communities it's not.
In certain,
Unfortunately,
right. And I'm not saying it's right, but, or even the way, like if we sat down to do homework, me not understanding something was different than James not understanding something. Right. Granted, we're two different students, so that's two,
there's
different
a lot
things.
Less patience.
There's a lot of but the softness or the I don't understand was not extended to me. It was always like, "Is you stupid?" Like, are you? And I don't necessarily blame my dad because it's like I told you, my dad was raised by a pimp, so it's like. You don't get the chance to be soft. You don't get the chance. I had never seen my father cry. The first time I ever seen him cry was when my parents got divorced. And I was 14, 15? This is a grown ass man. Never seen him ever shed a tear for anything. Like not loss of his friends, not loss of family members, nothing. Like the possibility of him losing his value as a man, that's what tore him up and was like, that's when I was like, damn, you know how to cry? You know what I mean? But I watch my brother now struggle as he's getting older and watching him be in like his relationship with, his girl and everything like that. And now that he's a father, the way that he's struggling with some of those things that were not positive and the way that he, will do certain things with his son and he'll be like, I don't want that. I'm not teaching him that. Or I don't want him to, he doesn't raise his voice at him. He's stern with him, but he doesn't raise his voice at him.
I was going to say, so to bring it back, because I don't want the people to think that this is an episode about toxic hypermasculinity.
Right.
So to bring it back, all of those things considered, seeing your father, seeing my dad, seeing my dad's dad, seeing, the way my mom was, I think that it's definitely created a negative stigma surrounding the word masculinity, even femininity, because like you said, my grandmother, like it started with her for real. Like that's why we work so hard, because my grandma has been working for forever. Even when her husband decided that he wanted to retire, they had bills to pay, so she was working. So in a lot of ways, my grandmother was the alpha. My mom, the alpha. Like we were raised in a way to teach our girls to be independent, which I do think that is a great quality to have. I think that it had stopped me from leaning into my more feminine side, and femininity to me for a long time meant weak, meek, mild-mannered. It doesn't mean what it means to me now. And so in reframing that and like in redefining that, I constantly have to like check my thoughts, right? And I have to, even with, I have a stepson, and there are certain things that is so, it's tricky, right? For instance, like he has a sister. So she has Barbie dolls and she has like girly toys and stuff like that. And it's like, if he picks it up, I'm so fearful of creating this idea of toxic masculinity that I'm like, let him. He's exploring. He's a child. It's not that he's into Barbies. He wants to play with his sister. But then it's also like, I can also understand if his father is like, I don't really want him to play with that. And I think it's how you communicate that. And I think it's how you, explain that to him. And so I always teeter the line of like, are we perpetuating this toxic masculinity, or, is this healthy masculinity? Even with my boyfriend, like, David is not the macho, super aggressive, I gotta puff my chest up, I gotta be the biggest one in the room. Like, my man is very gentle. He is openly like sensitive to me.
But still very assertive.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, my man is the epitome of healthy masculinity.
Yeah, like a good balance.
And I feel like there were probably underlying things that it was like conflicting for me, because he does not look like the
your
stereotypical masculinity does. And so I may have expectations at time, and that's like me feeding into toxic hypermasculinity and being a part of it and perpetuating it. But my expectations of him in certain ways or certain areas or situations was unacceptable, because a man doesn't just look like one thing. And so even with, like I said, femininity, like I've had to accept that side of me, or like learn that part of me. And even with like my man, like in the way that we live life now and how he's like, we have more traditional roles, that was so ick for me.
Yeah, you struggled. For sure.
But I had to like reframe my mindset and say, it's okay. It's okay to allow somebody to help. It's okay to allow somebody to take care of or lead. And so I feel like it's definitely I'm constantly like redefining what those words mean to me, and kind of like disassociating them from the negative stigmas that surround them.
What are some things that, like, true examples of what that looks like? So like
an example of allowing a man to take care of me, like me not working. Again, I told you my grandmother and mother raised very independent women. Like, it's always been, I got it. Like, don't worry about it. I can do it. You will never be able to do for me better than I can do for myself. And allowing him, not just financially, but in so many ways, even like after I had surgery this past year, like feeling okay with allowing him to basically do everything in the household and for myself. Like, I could barely walk by myself. And that was like a conflicting feeling too, because I hate not being able to take care of myself. Like, that doesn't feel right. And so just accepting that, or even like the example of, if he doesn't want his son to even pick up the dolls or to play with them or whatever, like accepting that, he's teaching his son healthy masculinity. He's not, making him feel like, why the hell would you touch that doll? Are you gay? Are you this? Are you that? Like, but like gently, like, well, you have your toys over here. These are Shy's toys. Maybe bring some of your toys over to play with her, opposed to ridiculing him for that. And now creating this thing in his head that's like, oh, I can't ever do this. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. And I think, like, I was asking because I know when you went through your journey of being by yourself, that was like, I feel like a time for you that was very, not saying more in touch than what you are now, but I feel like that was like your opening or awakening to like being soft and being feminine
for sure.
and being in your own energy, in your own space, and even like the way you dated and like the way you dealt with people, like everything was just different about, I could see you starting to reframe that. And so like now being in a relationship, you know, putting that more to action and seeing how being with someone else and what they struggle with, almost that balance, and how you two come together.
But I think another way that the media, I don't want to say necessarily tries to, but like could possibly affect the way that you perceive things or kind of like dictate your perception on things would be this whole idea that like, as a woman, I hate all men. Or even like as a man, I hate all women. Or all women are whores. Or like the, you know, the N-words ain't S-H-I-T. The niggas ain't shit. You know, I feel like that is pushed so heavily. Girl, not every other word.
I'm let it go.
Those ideas are pushed so heavily that like subconsciously,
the music, everything,
you start taking in those ideologies, and it's like somehow, some way, you become wrapped up in them. And that was the video that I was watching, and David was like, I think your algorithm needs a reset because like, you know, there's this whole like men versus women thing. And, you know, I'm always bringing stuff to him, and it's always like, oh, men do this, men do this, men do. He was like, you have a thing. Like, it's like, you think it's like men versus women. And I don't mean to, but because I'm consuming so much of the media, it's like it just constantly comes to my head.
What's there,
yeah. And so I feel like, you know, it's almost like they want us to hate each other.
I think they do. I think it's interesting too, though, because like the current climate of like what's going on, obviously division is a common theme. And it's so crazy because when people are like, oh, I hate women or I hate men, like I listen to so many girls. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I'm guilty of it. I'll be like, I hate these
We'll get on the phone and be like, I hate men.
Yes, I hate men. I hate men. But I feel like you have to, like, within reframing your mind, be able to put value on the balance between the two. You know what I mean? And be able to like be, I don't want to say thankful, but allow that and say like, okay, you know what? I don't hate men, because I hate men in the sense of like, y'all be doing some grimy shit, but I also love men in the sense of like, I like feeling protected.
But I also think like in conjunction with that, there are men that you love, there are women that you love. And it's just, what do you think it communicates to your brother or my man when we're constantly like, I hate niggas, I hate men, I hate this. And it's like almost subconsciously communicating, I hate you. And women will be like, I hate men, but I love my man. But I'm sure that there are also other men that you really love. But I also think that the problem with that is social media has a way of like skewing perspective and skewing the reality, right? So if all you're seeing are posts and memes about how men aren't crap and how women are just gold diggers and just whores or just users or whatever, you start to think that those are the only types of men and women out there, right? Versus the plethora of people. There are billions of people on this planet. Not every single man is that way. Not every single woman is that way. And it's perfectly fine to say, I hate those actions or I hate when people do this. But like, I feel like you kind of close yourself off to connections that could be made because you already have such a negative taste in your mouth. And it's like, I believe that God is going to bring me to the people that I need to be around. So if I am constantly, it's like the law of attraction, right? If I'm constantly thinking about crappy men or crappy women, that's what I'm going to attract. I don't need to put so much thought into those people. Like I need to celebrate our men. I feel like this is prevalent in the black community too. Like the way that you hear black men, not all of them, but again, this is another thing that's like being pushed in media. They want us to believe that all black men hate all black women, and that's not the case.
But it's like, okay, so that is so much deeper. And it's like, I don't know how like many levels deep you want to go into that, but that is like a slave mentality. And so it's like, are we going to go into that?
Sure.
Okay. Willie Lynch letter, The Making of a Slave, and they talk about basically how within this short book, he talks about the dismantling almost of the Black family
Yeah.
and the way that it's done. And so without getting too deep into that, years and years and years and years and years of being taught that, like, I don't think it's just social media. I think social media definitely heightens it. But it's something like in our community that we're like drilled in. Like, how many mothers do you know, single mothers, and it could be mothers who are not single, but they, you know, they will teach their daughters these things. And the same thing with men, they will teach their sons these things, and vice versa. Or like, if there is no man in the house and you're being raised by a single mom, and she shit talk your father all day. You know what I'm saying? And so then it's like you grow up with that notion, and then you get on the internet and there's all these podcasts and posts and memes about women. It, like you said, is gonna skew your brain. And so I think in our community too, we have to do a better job with, one, having the open conversations, but also two, just like being able to change and guide what that looks like. Like you said, start to celebrate, and instead of being like, oh, I hate all niggas. Because it's nice to say, but not my man. But it's like, dang, like you said, the other people.
So your man is the only good man on this planet?
There are plenty of, I know so many good men. You know, I constantly dote on my friends who are in good relationships with good men, or family members who are, you know, in good relationships with good men. And it's nice to see, but I don't think it's common. I think that's the sad part too. It's like, we can celebrate it, but like, how common is it that you come across like, oh, this is such a hot take, but like a good Black man?
I feel like often. And I think sometimes you also have to think about your environment. Janae, you love a shitty, like, and the thing is, they're not even shitty, they're broken.
Yeah. They're broken.
So again, like going back to the whole like slave mentality, they're part of a cycle, unfortunately. Like our beautiful, strong, capable, compassionate, talented, creative Black men and Black women, we're a part of these cycles that we were broken years and years and years ago. We were broken physically, we were broken mentally, we were broken emotionally. Like, taking a man away from his wife and child, and then raping his wife, making her carry your child, and making his husband, making her husband watch her carry this white, oppressive, abusive man's child. Like, in every way you could think of, we were broken. And so it's just a cycle that continues. We've never been able to like get ourselves out of this cycle. And it's gonna take each individual person and each individual family and each individual parent to decide like, I'm gonna do something different. But again, going back to my point, I think it's environment, right? Like, we were not only in the club, your father came from a family of pimps, tricks, and hoes. Like, what you're around, you might have access and you might be impressed upon by a certain type of person, which is why I think you gravitate, or not anymore, but which is why I think that in the past you have gravitated towards broken men. Broken men create toxic broken households. Broken men create broken relationships, and broken men create broken women. Broken women also create broken men. So I think that there are a ton of amazing black men. But again, I think that in order to like discover or find those men or come across and cross paths with those men, you have to open yourself up to the idea and the knowledge that we are incredible people. Like, we have a Black man shooting our podcast. You know what I'm saying? Like, I have a Black man as my boyfriend. You know, my stepchildren have an incredible Black man as a father. I think you really do have to force your brain to change the way you think about that, because I do think that I think that is a result of media and your environment. Because there are a ton of incredible Black men, for sure.
Okay. I agree with that. And I wasn't saying like how often you come across a good Black man as if they don't exist, or if they don't. Like, I come from a family of great Black men. But I think that other people who can relate to the experience of not having the proximity of being that's where that cycle, I'm not gonna say that's the only place, but like, for instance, lower income communities, that's a lot of that mentality where it comes from. You know what I'm saying? Like, Not necessarily. What were you
No,
gonna say?
finish.
Oh, that's what I'm saying. Within that community, yeah, you probably don't come across that many because they're in, you know what I'm saying, actively within that broken cycle. So that was more about me, not like they don't exist, because they definitely exist. And
so does someone growing up in a community, whether it's a lower income community or, because shoot, you could be, you could grow up to a drug dealer daddy and have it all and be in proximity of other elite people and still have that mindset. So for anybody in a community of people or in an environment where they're constantly seeing nothing but no good, low down men or even women, how do you think they change their mind? Like, what do you think
goes into reframing?
Would shift and reframe their mindset of our people? And I don't, so
not necessarily
everything in life I do is for the betterment of Black people. Let me just say that. But I do think that this is something that is global.
Right.
You know, I do think that the whole, like, I hate men or women are just gold diggers. I think that's also prevalent in
every community. Almost.
A lot of other communities and cultures and whatever. But like, so how do you think they would shift their mindset?
I don't think there's any right or wrong way, but I know for me personally, being around people and being around, like you said, environments and proximity, seeing my friends be in relationships that are good relationships with good people, or even me personally having, like, you know, I got a lot of male friends, some that I think are great people and some that I'll be like,
they're great to you, but not to other people.
And I'm like, dang, like, you can treat me so good and be so nice to me as, like, you know what I'm saying? What you see as your friend,
take care of me as your sister.
Yeah, but then I'm like, dang, I'll watch you dog these girls out. And so I think that, one, you have to be around people. Like, what were we saying at David's party the other day? Like, oh, I want to hang out with more married couples or more people, just more people who are more like-minded. And so if something, for instance, I don't want to say like if you're looking for a man, but if you feel like you're not coming across, you know, good people, change your environment. Like you said, change your proximity. That's not my case anymore. And then I think also too, learning, picking up a book. Like, if we're going to be honest, because I think another problem is so many people, y'all use the internet as like the fucking encyclopedia or like law, or like they know, and it's not. Yeah. Like, go out into the real world and experience somebody besides a podcast bro telling you you don't need to date a bitch who got 6 kids or whatever little thing they're hyped up on for the day. You know what I mean? Like, because I think that's where you do meet good, genuine people who, I don't want to say you can't meet them on the internet, but that's where you meet people outside of just what's being pushed through your algorithm. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Because you're only meeting people based on what Instagram thinks would be a good match for you based on what you scroll on. Right. You know what I'm saying? Even like who you look for, your friends, like, add this person is based on like your algorithm. So if you're constantly
feeding yourself,
yourself, consuming is the word I'm looking for. If you're constantly consuming stuff like that, that's what it's going to be. Also, I think feeding into your feminine side to allow you to look at masculinity, like to look at it differently. And I think that looks different for everybody, because I think like we have this notion, especially with the internet, that femininity is like pink and pretty and self-care and
you gotta walk slow and talk
and like
slow.
And like what you wear and how you wear your hair, because it's more feminine to your feminine, and that's not it, you know? And so I think exploring what that really looks like will then reframe your mind. And so now when you're out in the world, you have better discernment to say, like, you know what, just because he didn't get rowdy, you know, you might see somebody in public and be like, he didn't get rowdy in a time like this, and that doesn't make him any less masculine. He might just have a better grasp on the world around him or his emotions or whatever.
Himself.
Like a real masculine man.
Right.
You
like
know,
having
like
control of yourself.
Having control of yourself.
It's pretty hot.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that for women, we have to start to practice these things that allow us to be feminine and to be in that mindset of being able to accept the balance between the masculinity and femininity. Am I making sense?
Yeah.
Okay. That's how I think you should learn from that.
I think that this is going to be a hot take, but I think the way to reframe your brain about like the crappy men that you're meeting or the crappy women that you're meeting is to stop having kids.
Let's get into it.
I need to stop having babies.
Let's get into it.
And I don't necessarily mean forever, but like you will never be able to convince me that the average person should be having a child at 20, 21, 22 years old. And, you know, I'm not saying that it'll never work, but you don't know yourself. 9 times out of 10, you don't know that person. You don't even know, like, because you don't know yourself, you don't know what's good for you. You don't know what you need in a partner all the way just yet. But also, like, you're more prepared in life later. Now, if you're 20 or 21 years old and you have, like, you know, you're filthy rich, but even that is not enough, because just mentally and emotionally, you're probably not there. However, if you don't have to worry about work and you can really just prioritize yourself, and you might be better off. But you have these people who are having children, who are not prepared, who are not financially ready, who are not mentally, emotionally ready, who need to go to therapy, who need to take care of things within themselves before they should be responsible for another human being. And because you have all of these, like, deficiencies, or what's the word? Because you lack so much, it makes it 10 times more stressful and 10 times more difficult for you to raise a family in a healthy way, right? So you have these men that keep having unprotected sex. And even if it is with a condom, because we all know condoms are not 100%, you're having sex with all of these different women. And now you done got 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 women pregnant, like, back to back to back, and you're not a father to any of those children. Then you have women that are having sex with all these men, or even the same man, and having baby after baby after baby, knowing good and well you couldn't take care of the first baby. So, like, all
or
of
having
that,
a child with someone who didn't take care of their children before you, and thinking that
all of a sudden they're going to take care of my kid. Like, we keep having children, which then creates another cycle for another human being. So now we have all of these cycles going on, all of these different people, and they're all leading to the same thing, which is turmoil, which is destruction, which is eventually separation. But again, that goes back to that slave mindset. Like, we don't really instill in people anymore, our people, how important it is to take care of your family, to even if you're not with each other, like, taking care, both parents taking care of their children, and not ever allowing one parent to do it all and struggle by themselves, or to even allow your children to, like, grow up without both of their parents. And I don't mean in the same house, because I don't think that you have to grow up with both your parents in the same house in order to be a good human being, or, like, a well-rounded and, like, well-prepared human being or adult. But yeah, I think that you got to stop having kids before you are ready, and before you, like, really do your due diligence in figuring out if the person that you're going to have a child with is also ready and right to be a parent. Yeah, or else we're just going to keep perpetuating the same cycles over and over and over, and nothing is going to change. But I think that is an important factor when it comes to reshaping our mindset, because, you know, you see situations like this where, you know, a woman has 5 kids and none of the fathers are in the kids' lives, or none of the fathers are present. And now you have these little boys and girls growing up fatherless with their own issues because of that. You see these men having babies with all these different women, or it just, a bunch of broken homes creates.
But then you get to see it firsthand in these children who struggle with the idea of, like, masculinity and femininity at a young age. When I don't know your proximity, if you know many people who live that lifestyle, or like come from that background, but when you get to see it at close proximity, and you see these fatherless homes, and these kids, the little boys, like I said, grow up hating their mothers, and having this sense of, like, because now you're raised to be the man. Your daddy not around, so now you got to be the man. I don't know how to teach you how to be a man, because I'm a woman. So all I'm teaching you is, you know, what I think a man should be, which is 9 times out of 10, provider, protector. So that's what you learn. You learn it from a woman, though. You know what I'm saying? And so then you grow up with all this anger and hate towards her, but also all this anger and hate towards yourself, because you're, like, lost as a kid. How you going to tell an 8-year-old that he's the man of the house?
How? What about an 8-year-old screams man?
Man of the house. You know what I'm saying? Like, or you have these young girls who you can't take care of all your kids, but as soon as your baby old enough to stay home by herself, she helping you take care of all your kids while you at work. Parentifying children. That's going to be a topic for another day. For another day,
especially
episode,
the eldest. Parentification of eldest daughters. Not just daughters. Eldest children. But with daughters is like a huge, because the daughters are like the maternal figure. They're the nurturers. They're the ones that are supposed to take care of children. Yeah, that's going to be a topic for another day. But babe,
that's the idea that you get, that this is what femininity looks like. Like, I'm supposed to help take care of the home. I'm supposed to do this or whatever. Or like you said, for little boys, like, now you growing up, you 16, 17, and you feel like you want to fight everybody on the block because that's how you protect your sister.
Right.
I feel like there are so many people who go through that. They go through, like, especially young boys with phase where they get super aggressive and they feel like they have to because they're struggling with, well, I know I'm not supposed to cry, or I don't know how to express that. Hey, bro, you're bothering me. Like, I'm not fucking with that.
Yeah.
So now I want to beat you up.
Yeah.
Or, you know what I'm saying? A girl who feels like she doesn't know how to express her emotions or what's going, that's a very feminine thing to go through, is like the emotions, and having estrogen and being a woman is a very like different experience. And so when you're young and you're going through that and your body is changing, your emotions are changing and all these things, and you don't have someone to tell you like, let's talk about this, or, you know, someone soft, and not even that femininity is just being soft, but that's a part of it. Someone who can gently nurture that part of you and say like, as a woman, you know, or just break all of that down. You don't have that, you know? So like when you're growing up in that, you never got that. Now you're 23, trying to be out in the world, trying to date, trying to get jobs, trying to do whatever. And you don't know how to balance.
Yeah.
Or you don't know what that looks like. And so then you go through all this time struggling. And then, you know, so many people who are older and it still never clicks for them. These older women who are operating in such like, I don't want to just keep saying masculine, feminine energy, but they operate in a way that's so like, damn, girl, you're never going to soften up. Like, you're never going to welcome love or softness or like gentleness in your heart. And then you complain about like, oh, a man don't want to da-da-da-da. It's like, well, damn, you haven't even what man would want to get close to you acting like that, you know, or vice versa. Same thing with men. Like, what woman who truly operates in her feminine energy and wants to be the best woman for herself and for you would want to come and be nurturing or be soft or welcome you a place to feel comfortable to open up to her, if you're not even welcoming, you know, you're not welcoming that. You don't make it a safe place for her to do that. If you do the work in yourself, and even if you're not there yet, you know what I'm saying? I feel like this is something relatively new for me, and I'm reaching my 30s. Do the work within yourself so that when you do meet these people and it is time for you to want to build a life with somebody or procreate, you guys are both on the same page about what that looks like.
I was about to say, I think that this wasn't even like anyways, I was going to say that I think an important part of reframing your mind too is really defining, what does femininity look like to me? What does masculinity look like for me? Because then it's like, if you know what that looks like, then you also know maybe like what you want to lean more into within yourself, but also you know what kind of person you're looking for, right? Because like Susie J's definition of a masculine man may be different than mine. So like my man may not fit, and Susie J, my man don't fit what you need, but my man may not fit her idea of like, they may not be compatible, because what she thinks is a masculine man is very different than what I think.
I feel like we constantly like go through that. Like, obviously not now because you've been in a relationship for so long, but like, there would be certain things I'm like, oh, da-da-da, or that you'd be like, I like that. And I'm like, oh, girl, like, what the fuck? I don't want no nigga. Like, we were having a conversation one time. You probably don't remember this, but you was like, I love, like, somebody who can dance, like a dancing ass nigga.
I love me a dancing ass.
A little TikTok. And then not that it made him any less masculine, but it was just like one of the things like.
She not into it.
I want niggas to stand cool in the club. I don't want you dancing.
I want my man to stand cool in the club.
But I think that's like probably a toxic trait that I have. Like, boy, why is you shimmying all in public? We shimmy in the house. You need to be shimmying on the net. But I don't know. Either way it goes.
But yeah, no, I think that you do have to just define what that looks like for you. And, you know, and I think that will kind of also help you, again, it'll guide you to the people, the good people, men and women in the world that, you know, are aligned with you. The last way that I want to talk about mainstream media kind of like skewing your perspective, I think the internet has a way of telling you who you should be into. The internet has a way of telling you the type of people that should be desirable to you, right? So like for men, I feel like the super beautiful face beat, tiny waist, fat booty, Instagram models that probably have like, a business on the side or something. Like those are the women that, good men are attracted to.
Or
and
that are worthy of certain things because
right.
Or
men
will
treatment.
actively certain treatment because you'll see a girl like that and you will know like, oh, I can't take her to this or I can't get her this.
So I
or
gotta
whatever.
treat
so I gotta
her
treat her
the best of the best. But
Yes.
then like a little
what you would consider regular.
What you would consider a
You'd be like,
regular
shit,
girl.
she
I don't need
yeah.
to do the most for her. And then for, women, it's like the rich, they don't got a job, but somehow they make all this money type of men with the flashy cars and that are always traveling and always got freaking a go-yard duffel on the freaking side. Like those are the men that you should aspire to be with. Those are the men that are worthy of you. And
they're gonna give
anybody
you the
else,
lifestyle
girl, if he works a 9 to 5, you don't need to talk to him. I don't think okay, this is a separate conversation, but like, never mind. Never fucking mind.
Hot take? Okay.
Hot take, but like it would go into a completely about how like, if you want to date a 9 to 5er, that's totally fine, but that doesn't align with everybody's life and that's perfectly fine too. But that's a whole separate episode.
That's a whole nother episode.
But yeah, like those are the only type of people that you're supposed to be into. And if you're not, like, you must not be that girl. Or if you don't like this type of woman, if you don't have this type of woman, you're not really that man.
You're not him for real.
You're not him because him would have her. And I think that the media makes everything, like the thing about social media, it's like it gives you one way of doing everything and everything outside of that one way is not okay. It's not cool. It's not acceptable.
But then it creates like the herd mentality because then everybody wants to feel like, I feel like
everybody
this is
wants to feel like or look like.
Look like, because I was about to say, then you create this whole tangent. But all the girls want to look the same because this is like coveted. Girls who look like this get treated like this. And men
or get these type of men.
Yeah. The same thing with men. Like, damn, well, I need this and I need that and I need to drive this and I need to have this because AP means bad bitch, you know what I'm saying? Or whatever the case may be, whatever is the hype at the time. So that's another conversation for another day.
Girl, but even like my man had shown, before I had met one of his homeboys, he had been like talking about me and like, my man talks about me 24/7. Like anywhere he goes, he gonna bring up his Kelsey. So he was talking to his, he was talking to his homeboy, he had been talking to him about me and he showed him like, he puts on my Instagram and he was like, oh, she's beautiful. I thought she was going to be like an Instagram, like whoop-de-whoop. And he was like, it's my baby. But like the expectation of my man, because he's rich, because he's successful, because he is flashy, was like, he going to have this like.
He do.
Right, he does. But I'm definitely not.
You don't have the Instagram baddie persona.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't
look.
I don't feel like not saying anyone is more beautiful than the other, right? There's a certain look though, like bust down Cardi, freaking always got to be in designer head to toe, always got some kind of 40-inch bust down weave, always got a face full of makeup. That's not me.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm a beautiful girl. And I don't think like the Instagram baddie in that, like, that's what I think of when I think of an Instagram baddie. I'm sure that when people think, some people think of Instagram baddie, I'm sure some people can't think of me, but like I'm not the, I got to be done up 24/7. All of my photos are professional photos. I'm always on a jet. I'm always out of town.
Yeah.
I got to have a Birkin in every picture. Like, that's not me.
Like the lifestyle Instagram baddie,
right.
not the physical look. Because I was going to say, you have the look.
Or
but I get
even
what you're saying,
like,
the lifestyle
I'm not,
look.
like, first of all, body T, body Ben C. But I'm not no super thicker than, I'm not no big booty Judy, size 22 waist. Baby, my waist is about 27, 28. Okay?
30 on a good, no,
you don't know. 31.
Eat too much, right.
You know what I'm saying? But you know what I'm saying? But like, that was like, what he expected him to show him, because this is what men like you are supposed to date. And, I feel like if my man wasn't confident in who he is and who he loves and what he wants and whatever, I feel like even a comment like that could have made him be like,
oh, damn.
Well, damn, I thought my girl was pressure, but maybe she
Yeah,
kind of
she
regular.
really talking about
Maybe
that,
she kind of regular. But, I feel like that also just feeds into the idea of like, who you're supposed to like, who you're supposed to give your time to, who you're supposed to be into. And I just feel like I just feel like we really got to be careful. We got to be careful with, one, how much media we're consuming on a regular basis, but also making sure that our thoughts and our wants are original and our own.
Are like our own thoughts.
Our own. Because you can, like, literally, like David said, like, you know, you can have an idea that you already think, and then you keep seeing this and this and this. And like the first time you see it, it could introduce another factor.
What do they say, things in threes? When you see things in threes, what is that? Like if you see something 3 times, the
like
first time you see it, it's a something. The second time you see it,
I don't know that one, girl.
I'm gonna look it up so we can. Now I feel stupid for even bringing it up.
No,
but
okay.
It's like the first. It's some. There's a saying or something like if you see something 1 time, it's a whatever. If you see something 2 times, it's something else.
Coincidence.
But if you see, a coincidence. If you see something 3 times, it's
a
like
message.
fate or a message. It's something like that. And so it's like that same mindset of like how we were talking about. We was on the phone talking about Ozempic, and then literally the whole next day, my whole algorithm was Ozempic, and it wasn't
now
even
you're
like
well, I'm
positive.
about to shoot me up some
It
Ozempic.
was like, you're tired of having flabby arms. Do this. And you know the same thing, or even it's so crazy because the other day on my algorithm, one of those little pages came up, and it was like how to attract a high ticket or like a high value man. And the whole page was about like, you need to operate in your feminine energy and do this. Don't let a man do this because that's not feminine. But if you do let a man do this, you'll attract an alpha masculine man. And it's just like, damn, that's so crazy. I watched the page. I was on the page for like a few posts, right? Girl, refresh the post and everything is like that. How I become feminine to attract a masculine man. How did it? And it's so crazy. So I think going back to what you said, you really have to make sure that like, your thoughts are your own, but also too, when you're consuming social media, be very intentional about like the things that you're searching or do whatever, because
or things that you're staying on and watching.
Yeah, the things that you're giving multiple minutes of your time because like that's what the algorithm is going to push to you. But then like also too, outside of social media in the real world, like we said, putting yourself around people that are good people and are
like-minded too.
Like-minded, and for women, putting yourself in a proximity to men who, and this doesn't have to be romantic, who can show you what it's like to genuinely be a good man. And the same thing for men, putting yourself around women that can teach you something, that have good brains, so you can see that women have value outside of their bodies and their looks and what they can do for you on that level. You know what I'm saying? What can this woman do for me mentally? You know what I'm saying? Emotionally. So vice versa. I think especially our age range, going into our 30s,
the grown
lady age. Yeah, we have to do a better job of like nurturing that part of us,
protecting our mental.
Our mental and saying it's okay to take a break from something if it's not feeding into like where you want to grow.
For sure, taking a break from media, but also like. Hot take. Sometimes you got to take breaks from people. Sometimes you got to take breaks from people. Like I have people in my life who I will love forever and ever and ever, but the life that the ideologies that you perpetuate, the cycles that you continue, I don't align with. And so, you
don't match your femininity. No, I'm just kidding. Essentially,
but not just femininity, but like just like what I think is a good person. Like, we don't align. And so sometimes you have to create distance between people and places and things. You know what I mean? So yeah, I think that the internet is it is a tool, but it is also extremely dangerous, and you've got to protect your brain. So the next time you have like a super hot take,
as we're on the internet,
right? Literally, this side of the internet is good though.
Yeah, this is a heavy side of the internet.
But like the next time that you have like a controversial thought, or you want to debate something, or even just like a thought in passing that's like super impactful, ask yourself like, is that my thought, or is that y'all's thought? Is that the internet's thought? Is that society's thought? Like, is that Kelsey's thought? That don't sound like Kelsey. Like,
yeah. Because sometimes you have to, you got to fix yourself. Like, you got to check yourself. Accountability. For sure. And like, okay, you know what? Let's take a moment. Or even before you begin to debate, sometimes you got to take a moment with yourself.
Shut the hell up.
Debate it with yourself. Ask yourself, was that smart before it came out? Before you get to type it on the internet?
Or is this how I really feel?
Yeah.
It's indicative of my thought
Make
process.
sure, it's that, and it's not like a herd idea.
Yeah. Wow, that was good, sister. That was good. Thank y'all so much for tuning in. That is all the time we have today.
We will see y'all next week, next Sunday.
Same day, same time.
Bye.
That was cute. That was a good combo.
It was.